Hello and welcome. My name is Reggie, and I recently came back from Dice Tower West 2025, a board game convention in Viva Las Vegas. So I'm going to tell you today about the top 5 games that were new to me that I got to play there, give you a general recap, show you some footage. I'm going to just give you my general thoughts on the con and shout out a couple awesome people that I got to play with and some cool things that I saw. So here we go. Okay, so right before the top 5, I have a couple honorable mentions. Number 1 is a party game that I brought with me. That is 3 of a Kind. This was a review copy from the publisher Weird City Games, who is here in Portland, designed by Tim Eisner. It plays up to 8-player party game, and I'm telling you guys, this was a smash hit with every group that I played with. This is the party game of 2024, but don't worry, I'm gonna feature it in a video shortly, so stay tuned. I just wanted to highlight this. This was a very big hit at the con for me. And the other honorable mention I wanna give is to Duck and Cover. This is a silly looking game with like rubber duckies on it that plays up to 7 players, and I was initially taught this by Amanda Panda, also known as Panda Angel. Go check her out. Really great group of people we played with there. Then I played it a second time with another group, completely different, taught by Francois Roman, who is the designer of So Clover. So that was really cool to meet him and tell him how great his game is. I love So Clover as a party game as well. So that was really cool to play it. And what it is it has a bingo mechanic, which is really great, where one person is going to flip a card or some object and everybody else has to do something on their own board. I really like this. It's very prevalent in flip and write games or roll and write games like My City, some of my favorite games. But it also borrows from another game I love, a button shy game called Food Chain Island. And how it works is you have a grid of cards and you're going to be stacking them on top based on what is flipped. And you're trying to condense down to the fewest amount of stacks that you can, because stacks are worth points. What's in the bottom of the card in this game, it's called Splash, because you don't want too much splash from your rubber duckies here. So it's just a fun little puzzle, and it's just so silly because if you've covered up the number that gets flipped, you have to, in the rule book, out loud go quack. And so when the whole table quacks, then that pushes the end game forward. So it's so light, so silly, but it is just a fun little puzzle. And for me, I just love having games like this in my collection, so I am keeping an eye out for it. It's also bird themed. I definitely need it. And the reason I want it is because you just need those games that can be taught in 1 or 2 minutes, and still everyone at the table can have fun, maybe a beer and pretzels type game. So Duck and Cover is now on my want to buy wish list as well. So that was my other honorable mention. And right before I get to my top 5, I promise I'm getting there. There's just 3 games I want to highlight that I already love, that I've already talked about on the channel, but I just want to highlight again how much I love these games, that I got to play again and confirmed my adoration for them. So number 1 is Dune Imperium Uprising. This game is incredible, y'all. I keep telling you, if you want a bigger, it's not even that heavy, but worker placement, deck building, the Dune theme, a little bit of conflict. We played 3-player, me, Kenan, and Phil. Great time. It solidified how much I love this game, and you'll hear me talk about it more and more on the channel, so just get used to it. Great game. The other one I have with me as well, and that is Dune, oh my gosh, Dune Princess, Rebel Princess, the deluxe edition. Shout out to Dana, who actually gave me this deluxe version. Plays up to 6 players. I brought this, we sat down and played this with a group. Nobody else had played it but me, and it was just a great time. I think the theme alone just draws people in so much. It's trick taking. It very much plays like Hearts in that you're trying to avoid certain tricks. Instead of avoiding the heart suit, you are trying to avoid the prince suit, because we are all rebel princesses, legally distinct from the Disney princesses, and we are trying not to get proposals from princes because we're rebel princesses. And so when a prince comes out and you take that trick, that's negative points for you. And just like in Hearts, there's one really negative card. It's usually the Queen of Spades in Hearts, and in this game, it's hiding in the pet suit. The pet suit has all these cute little forest animals on them. And there's also the Frog Prince card. Actually, I'll show you the box here. Hold, please. The Frog Prince card inside the box says marry me, and he's worth like -5 proposals. So you really do not want to have the Frog Prince as well. So it's just cute, lighthearted, definitely my go-to trick-taking game right now. And my final oldie but a goodie actually came out in the 90s, and this is Modern Art. It's a game I love. I've talked about many times on the channel. It's somewhere on my top 50. You gotta go watch that video for yourself. My buddy Phil, you know him, you love him. Papa Phil is collecting all of the Modern Art versions, and he has some pretty expensive editions, but the one he brought to this one I had not played before, and that is the German language Oink Games edition. Nice compact box, and we just had a blast. We played 4-player with an awesome couple that I'll talk about a little bit later, and we just had a great time. The speculation of auction, it's so much fun, especially with the right group. If you get into it, you really got to sell the art and try to get some great deals and try to buy low and sell high and manipulate the market. It's just such a great game. I love it so much. My favorite auction game, Modern Art. Okay, finally, we are back to my actual top 5 here, starting with the number 5 game that was new to me at the con, and that is Fromage. Now, this game was in the Hot Games room. I've heard all about it. Some people had it as their number 1 game of 2024. I've even tried it on Board Game Arena twice before I had played it, and I was just so disappointed by it online. And I think this game in particular has now taught me that I really cannot give a game a fair shake on Board Game Arena, because playing it in real life changed my opinion on it completely. Such a great worker placement game, simultaneous action. There's a big wheel shaped like a cheese wheel. Again, many of you probably know this, but if you don't, big shape like a wheel. There are quadrants, and you're only going to be placing your workers in that quadrant on your turn. And each quadrant is a crazy different mini game for scoring. And you have to place the workers facing a certain direction, and they age, so you cannot get that worker back until it's facing you. So if you put it on the 3 spot, so facing left, it'll take 3 whole rotations before it comes back to you, which is really risky, but you get a bigger score potentially. That little addition is so smart, because you can actually pay attention to what's coming next, what your opponents are doing, gathering resources. You've got a little personal board. There's a lot going on, but it's still a fairly straightforward worker placement game. And I just think I just didn't give it a fair enough chance on Board Game Arena. BGA really dampened the game, and it is actually an awesome game, and I love it. I have a great time with it. Fromage was my number 5 new game at DTW. So my number 4 is Bus. This is a 1999 Splotter game, and there's a new edition that CG published. I believe they were there at the con. They were really awesome. They had an awesome deal on Ark Nova. I almost snagged it, but I held out. And I was walking around the flea market, and I'll talk about that, what I got there. And I bumped into somebody named Joe, who makes his own YouTube videos, Banter and Boards. Go check them out. I'll put link in the description. And him and his wife were wanting to sit down and play this. So me, Phil, Joe, and Melissa sat down and played this game. And it was really cool. All of us knew first time the rule book is paper thin, you know. I'm learning that these older designs that are so elegant, I just think a lot of new board games just throw the whole kitchen sink in, and it can feel really clunky. So I was very impressed with the design of this. And basically, we're going to be competing for bus routes and getting these passengers from where they want to go, which is typically, there was like, I think it's home, office, and pub. Those are the 3 locations. And so it rotates where they're trying to go. So you have to plan ahead and do that. It's a very tight worker placement spot. You're going to be placing on these like 6 sections. It's like A through F, I believe. And F is just like who wants to get first player token. It also will change how many buses you can put down and how much you can move a passenger. And it's just really tight. There's a kind of a descending order. So if I get the first slot, the rightmost slot up at the top, the next person will get 1 less of that action than me. So you want to be the first one to place on each one. But I really enjoyed this game, and I love this new edition. I don't know if I'd like an older version. I think this new, like, streamlined, pretty CG edition really helped amplify it for me. I looked at some of the old pictures, I was like, whoa. But it makes me, 1, want to try other Splotter games. Phil loves Food Chain Magnate, so I think I'm going to try that out. And 2, it made me realize that one of my other favorite games, somewhere on my top 50, Pan Am, clearly took inspiration from this game, Bus, because Bus is a 90s game, and Pan Am came way after that, in the fact that there's that A through E, and you place all your workers, and then you like trigger each of them in order. And that is such a fun puzzle in your head of like, okay, I need to get a worker in the A section and a worker in the C section to do exactly what I want to do, and it's going to trigger in order, and Pan Am does that. So I really, really enjoyed it. I don't know if I need to spend so much money to get it because it is a hard game to find, but I would really like to play this more. That's my number 4, Bus. All right, my number 3 new to me game is Babylonia. This is a 2019 Reiner Knizia game, and so I'd heard a lot about this game, especially from Knizia fans. It was always high on tier lists and in top 10s. It's a lot of people's favorite Knizia game, so I always wanted to try it, and I got it for an absolute steal last summer in the secondhand market, like just through Facebook Marketplace. I have an incredible copy. I've always wanted to play it, and so it sat on my shelf of shame for 8 months. So thank you so much to Daniel at the game table who taught us this. We played with Kenan and Brandon as well. 4-player, Sunday morning, the last big game of the con, so I had a great time with this one. And it is a tile placement game in a la most of Knizia tile placement games. It reminds me a lot of Blue Lagoon, which is a game I really love. And yet, Blue Lagoon is still a little more streamlined, even though this is a very streamlined game. I think there's just a little more depth in the gameplay when it comes to Babylonia than Blue Lagoon. So if you like Blue Lagoon but thought it was maybe a little light, this would be maybe the next step up, like a hair. And then also, which I have not played, but Daniel said it gets compared a lot to Samurai, which is his other tile placement game where you're trying to surround a specific point with your tiles to gain points or gain, little bonuses. And so with this game, you're really trying to surround the ziggurats, especially to get a new ability. And if you surround these other areas, you're going to score points. And there's a lot of chaining, network building that I like in his other tile placement games. So for me, it is a very tactical game that has like a deep decision space for how snappy the turns are. That's the biggest thing, is it is a very quick, you're just playing 2 or 3 tiles down, sometimes more if it's all farmers. Yeah, that is Babylonia. It was great. I really enjoyed it. Very simple, very elegant, and it falls right into that Blue Lagoon family. And so I'm excited to bring this out and play Babylonia, my number 3. All right, my number 2 is Moon Colony Bloodbath. Now, this game was hotness, like the hot game of the last few months. It was all over the BGG hotness because it is designed by the designer of Dominion, Donald Vaccarino. So I've even looked it up since. You cannot really find this in the US. It's kind of sold out in a lot of places. It's his first game in a while. I don't know exactly how long. Maybe someone can fact check me, but it's his newest game in a long time that's not Dominion related. And so how it builds itself is an engine building, engine losing game. So you are going to be putting out these buildings in your own tableau, indicating your personal moon colony, and you're competing with the other players. But what's really interesting to me is that there's the main mechanism of the game, that there's an event deck, and it's just going to be flipping and affect everyone, sometimes giving you an opportunity to take an action, but most of the time doing something negative to you. And we're all going to be building that deck together. We might be putting in some new events. These killer robots come in there a lot. And also, like I was playing as Dr. Brain, and I can put in some Dr. Brain cards, so every time those flip, I personally get a benefit and nobody else does. I thought that was really fresh. I'm sure there's other games that do it, but it was really, really a novel thing for me. And so what's really interesting is why they call it an engine losing game is you build these buildings, and then these cards come out and start getting rid of your little population. There's a lot of negative effects. You might lose food, you might lose money, but the little people tokens are called population, and it's the victory points of the game. And if you don't have enough population, you have to get rid of a building, and each building has a population, value. And so you'll get that many population. So if I needed to lose 7 and I had none, I would have to destroy a building that was holding 10 population, and then I'd be down to 3. I would get 10 and have to get rid of 7 immediately. And it's so like tense because every single person is dealing with this struggle of we are losing people as the game goes on. It has a very, very clear curve, like a steep incline. You're building this engine, getting a bunch of awesome stuff each time a card comes out, and then it just declines steadily. And the best analogy I can give it is like one of those Japanese game shows where we're all on a platform and trying to dodge the spinny thing, and just whoever can last the longest and hold out is going to win. And that is exactly how it goes every time. But it was really innovative, really fresh. And again, another game that felt streamlined. The rules were not that crazy. The abilities were pretty straightforward. I love the wacky art and the fun theme, and the name is just iconic, honestly. It was really cool, and I really liked it. I had one play of it. I will say, the last thing I'll say about it is, it had a really great first impression. And so I don't know how well it will hold up with more plays, more scrutiny, playing it over and over and over. But, I love games in my collection that really just stun the first time because, you never know how many times you're going to play with a person. And it was really cool. I get the hype. And the biggest thing for me, it was a fresh, innovative game. So that is Moon Colony Bloodbath, my number 2. And finally, my number 1 is another game that's hard to find, and that is Orleans. This is a 2014 bag builder taught to me, again, by Kenan. Shout out to Punchboard Cathedral. Played with Chris and Phil. Played a 4-player game of it. It is a bag builder, so you will be pulling chips out of a bag, and you're mostly placing them on your personal board to trigger different actions, and those actions tend to mostly be bumping up tracks, which do other things like add things to your bag or help your scoring. There's also a central board where you're kind of doing a little bit of a chaining, route building thing. There's another way where you can get rid of your chits completely. You can buy some new tiles. There's a lot going on in this game for a pretty, quote unquote beige Euro, but I really, really loved it. And I will say the biggest unfair advantage this game has is now I'm in a game of it on Board Game Arena and having a very good time with it. So since I, went to Dice Tower West, it's been a couple weeks for me to record, and so I've actually been able to experience it even more, unlike these other games. And so it is this designer's biggest game, and the art is like kind of cute in its own way. I really like it. Really cool game, and it has basically told me that I just love bag builders. There's almost the exact same mechanics as building a deck, drawing a new hand, and playing those cards, but there's just something more fun about pulling chips out of a bag. I don't know, maybe just for me. I love Life of the Amazonia. I really want to try Wonderland's War Altiplano, which is the other game by this designer. So I don't know, it's just really cool to pull chips out of a bag and do fun things. It is very well designed. You can tell there was a lot of just thought that went into it. Also feel like you're building an engine because you can pull more chips out of the bag or do more actions. You have cooler ones in your bag when you do it. You've got some wilds. There's a lot going on. It's a very cool game. Another one that's hard to find, but if I ever find one on the secondhand market, I will be snagging a copy of Orleans. Okay, so there's the top 5. If that's all you were here for, I hope you found some games that were interesting. I really had a great time at Dice Tower West. I'm going to do a little bit of a recap here, so if you're not interested in that, thank you, and leave a like on your way out. But now I'm just going to talk about a couple things that I really enjoyed about the con. A little more uncut here. So recap-wise, this was my 3rd time going to Dice Tower West, and I really, really love it. I have to say, this is my convention. I will probably go to this. This is my big convention, I should say. I will plan to go to this every year. It's a good time of year for my job. It's a 2-hour flight for me to Vegas from Oregon. So people will go from they'll drive in from LA or they'll drive in from Texas. People will fly. There was a lot of Denver people. There's people who live in Vegas. So it's a nice location for me where all the other big board game conventions are so far away. Ohio or Indiana, Philly, those are really tough and sometimes tough times of year for me. So I'm happy about it. I really enjoy it. Now, this being my 3rd time, this was the first time at the Westgate Hotel. So I had a few people actually message me on Instagram asking about this. So I want to answer the question, what do I think of the hotel compared to the last one? Couple pros, couple cons. The biggest pro, honestly, is that the rooms are nicer. Again, you don't spend a ton of time in your room, but I do think the rooms are just a step up. They're not as, I think the Rio, honestly, the rooms are garbage and that's fine. But the biggest, or the other thing about the rooms is that they're closer to where the convention is. I remember distinctly, like, if we need to go back to our room, Phil and I, that's a 20 minutes there, up the elevators, grab stuff, 20 minutes back. I mean, you're losing about 40 minutes. And again, that's not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. But for someone who does a weekend pass, 3 days at a board game convention, I want to get as many games in as possible. So I think it being like half the time, probably I'd say 20 minutes total to do like a room break and get a little refresh, especially if you've been going for a long time. Quick shower, quick change really helps. Please shower at conventions. Let me just throw that out there. The 6-2-1 rule really matters. 6 hours of sleep, 2 square meals, and 1 shower. Please God, if you go to a convention, do a good job of that. But that really, the hotel was very similar. It's Vegas, I don't think it's for everyone. I really don't gamble. I like to drink, but I didn't drink this whole time. And so I think for the price, you're spending a lot less at a convention like this for hotels and stuff, because in Vegas, they're basically assuming you're gonna blow a bunch of money gambling. So the hotels are pretty cheap. I always wanna go to Kubla Khan in the Bay Area because that's also a quick flight for me. But honestly, the lodging is so much more expensive. It's a hard sell for, you know, just budgeting in that way. So those are the things I wanted to say about that. Let me just double check if there's anything. Oh yeah, the biggest con was it was in like a food desert. I don't know what's up with the hotel. There was nothing around it. So we actually ate in a pretty expensive like Italian restaurant inside the hotel, which was very good. Had a great time, but ate there like 3 times because it was the best like dinner around. And I even had people tell me that they tried to DoorDash or Uber Eats and it was like a $60 delivery fee. So there was not much walkable, where the Rio last year, we walked to some great food last year in 2023. So, or 2024. So think about that when you're deciding on this. Another big boon I want to give to Dice Tower West and praise them is the library. It's incredible. Any game you want to play, from the newest hotness to old classics that you can't find, like Orleans, for example, they really have a great selection. I came in with an entire list and I didn't even play half the games that I said I wanted to play, but that's fine. You have so much fun. You walk around, you play with people. The spaces are, I would say, comparable, the big rooms. There's maybe a little dingier in terms of like lighting. As a content creator, that's a little annoying. It feels a little more like, I don't know, dank in some of the rooms compared to the Rio, and it had a little more charm for sure. But the spaces were pretty comparable. I'll say where the flea market was, where the main room is, where the hot games room are, all felt decent. I didn't go to any panels. Again, I'm annoying that way. I just really want to play as many games as possible. So I didn't waste any time at panels, but that would be also, I'm guessing, very comparable. And it stays open really, really late. We were up on daylight savings night, and you see the clock go from 1:59 a.m. to 3 a.m. It jumps a full hour, and it's just hilarious. We stayed up super late playing it, but it was a great time. And yeah, I think the space is good. It definitely was an upgrade in most areas, with a couple downsides, especially being nothing nearby. 2 other things I just want to say is that the flea market was great. I bought a handful of games. I'll probably just show them in videos as I get them played. But I just love the flea market. Great way to buy some secondhand games. And I bought a game from Bonzinator. I'll show you this one. It's in shrink here. I got the Robin Hood versus Bigfoot in the shrink still. Very hard to find in the US at least. So I was really excited about that. Okay, and the last thing I just want to highlight was Prototype Con, and they always do this. I actually played a couple different prototypes while I was there. To admit it, on the YouTube for the very first time, I brought my own prototype. I've been honestly noodling this idea for a very long time. I've got the little box and I've upgraded it to be very portable. It is called Rhino Rummy by Rolling Reggie. So I'm working on this. I got so much great feedback. Shout out to Kenan, Chris, Seiju, Josh from Cake Pie Games. Shout out to all of them for playing this, and my buddy Phil. It was really awesome. It motivated me so much. I've like already iterated so much since then. And it's just something that I think a lot of people in our hobby, you play games long enough, you just want to design your own. You read books enough, you want to write your own short story. It's just one of those things that I think happens a lot. And so I'm really excited about my first reimagining of Rummy, first foray into designing. We'll see how it goes, but I'm really excited about that. And that is a cool thing that Dice Tower West and other conventions was like a mini con within a con. There was just a whole prototype area, and I spent a lot of time over there, so I had a great time with that. Okay, so I'm just gonna close this video out, play some cool music, and I'm just gonna give a shout out to all the awesome people that were there that I interacted with. First and foremost, Kenan from Punchboard Cathedral. Go check him out on Instagram and his podcast with Alba. It's incredible. They got a new episode coming soon, which I'm really excited to hear as well. Big shout out to Thinker Themer, Amy and Maggie. They're awesome. I always try to give them a new postcard every time I see them. They always collect them in the back of their videos. But the big thing is that their community is probably the most welcoming group of people out there. Really shout out to all those awesome people. They quarantine a whole area called the Outback, and they were just so welcoming. We played so many games with them and near them. So love that. Brothers Murph were there, which was awesome. Did not get to play a game with the bros this year, but they were there. Always great to say hello to those guys. Ruel Gaviola, go check him out on Twitch. Crystal, Board Game Blitz, Crystal and Ambi. I played a couple games with Crystal, especially Bezer Wizard, which I want to shout out. Cool trivia game. Shout out to Crystal. Chalby, Panda Angel, we played a game this convention. Nice to see you, Amanda. Thanks for teaching me duck and cover. That was awesome. Chris, Vera, Tabletop Girl on Instagram. Check her out. I'm going to put all these links in the description, but really loved Dropolter. That was an awesome little dexterity game, especially to play at like 1 a.m. We were laughing hysterically. Shout out to Josh at Cake Pie Games. His game Beach Day will be previewed on the channel very soon. Check that out. Mo, shout out. Dark Heist, his deck builder that already has successfully funded on Kickstarter. Congrats, Mo. Ashy Feet is the company. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Very cool. Really great to chat with him as well. Daniel at the Game Table, Instagram, Sir Bearsworth. Great to play games with both of you. You guys are awesome. And last but certainly not least, shout out to the Bonzinator herself, who we played games. We interacted in the flea market, but we played games with a big group of people till really, really early in the morning, and it was really awesome. So it's an amazing time, and thank you all for being there and interacting with me. I hope to see you in the future, and thank you all for watching this great video. Like, subscribe, check me out on Patreon, and I'll see you in the next con.
It's 4:28 a.m. and it's Banana Boy versus Unicorn time.
Here we are, touching skateboards and eggplants. What are you gonna do?